There are many reasons why people love Hollow Knight. The art style, the bosses, the lore, the Rule 34. It's not a surprise that people love this game to death, including me. But why did I fall in love with the game? Well, it is one simple answer. Hallownest. When I play a game, I want to be immersed in its world. I want to explore and look for secrets everywhere and discover new areas left and right and let my brain have a dopamine breakdown. There are so many games that I consider some of my favorite games of all time purely because of how fun it is to explore those worlds. Like Mario Odyssey or Kirby and the Forgotten Land and even Paper Mario Goddamn Color Splash. Yeah, this is actually my favorite Wii U title. But let's not already start the controversy, okay? Hollow Knight, however, is a 2D game, but still managed to make an interconnected, diverse world for you to explore. And it was great! Hallownest is so fun to explore that it kept me motivated to keep playing the game and discover everything it had to offer. You know, like every game should. There are many areas to explore, each one with totally different enemies, aesthetics, challenges and secrets to find. But I think it's pretty safe to say that we like some more than the others. I mean, everyone has their own preferences and some of them were just meant to be awful. I love what they did with every area and how creative they got with each of them, but I definitely have my favorites and least favorites. So today we're going to rank all the areas from Hollow Knight from worst to best and settle this once and for all. The areas that I'm going to rank are all the areas that can be seen on the zoomed out map and White Palace and God Home, since they are gigantic places as well that just can't be seen on the map. And why not also rank the Infected Crossroads as a separate entry as well, because I definitely have a totally different opinion on that in contrast to the Forgotten Crossroads. So I don't want to see any little Timmies in the comments saying, "You missed the abyss in the ranking, where?" Because that's not an area, okay? We are going to rank these areas based on how fun they are to explore, the aesthetic, the characters, the challenges that can be found within them, and of course, the memorability. So with that all out of the way, it is time for my favorite ranking. It is time for the Hollow Knight area ranking. As much as I love every single nook and cranny of this gigantic world, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I actually despise some of these areas and would like to avoid them at all costs. So sadly we have to put an area all the way at the bottom of the list. And the first area that came into my mind was a very obvious pick. But then I realized that I actually completely forgot one area. Because it has no memorability at all, almost no interesting challenges or characters, and the most boring aesthetic ever. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you number 18. Howling Cliffs. I'm so sorry to the two Howling Cliffs fans, but this is just a wasteland of an area. And I mean, it's supposed to be that, but that doesn't mean I like it. Every playthrough of this game I have when I need to go to the Howling Cliffs, it always feels like a chore. I just go here once to grab everything that is available here and never return. And the thing is, there's almost nothing to do. The chore list for this area is always learn Cyclone Slash from Matto, defeat Gorp, get the 2 charms that are here, and activate the Grim Troop. That's it. That's it! After that, I'm out of there, never to be seen again. Everything is grey and boring with no music. There's almost literally nothing to find here, and there's definitely not a single challenge to be had here. Unless you think Gorp is a challenge, but then I would advise you to quit the game. So yeah, Howling Cliffs is at the bottom, purely because it lacks, you know, content. Even though I may hate to traverse some of the upcoming areas even more, I can't put them lower than the Howling Cliffs, because they have way more content and charm in them. That would just be a little unfair. So, sorry Howling Cliffs, but you're... yeah. Number 17. Deep Nest. The one and only classic Deep Nest. It definitely has its reputation of being one of the most feared areas, and you know, rightfully so. It's literally factual information when I tell you that they tried to make this area as horrifying and awful to traverse as possible. It's dark, there are spike traps everywhere, and there are literally spiders crawling in front of your screen, making you think they are crawling on your monitor IRL. I don't think I've met a single person that doesn't fear spiders at least a little bit. So this area is everyone's worst nightmare. And yeah, I know it's supposed to be spoopy and scary. I know that's exactly what they were going for here. But that doesn't mean I'm literally shitting my pants every time I go here. Like, Look at this! From the enemies, to the maze-like structure of this place, to the really amazing sound design. Everything just screams, get out of here. But the problem is, you can't. This is one of the most important areas in the game. So important actually that it is required to visit Deepness to beat the game, because there's a dreamer here. However, besides the obvious, there are also plenty of other things to find here, because I believe it's like the second biggest area in the game. Sadly, you can find the Trampas, some charms, some bosses, plenty of grubs, Zodes, but the chats pretend like they haven't seen him, and a lot of different NPCs. And there are also some really creative sections within Deepness to be found. There's like a literal spider village, there's a filled tramway section, some really creative parkour sections. This place is content packed, but it just sucks so much to traverse this place. It's scary, I can't see anything, there are enemies everywhere out here to kill me, and if you sat on a bench, you will be stuck deep within Deepness with no escape, with this dead body as your only company. I know there are quite some Deepness enjoyers out there that appreciate Deepness for what it is, but unlike them, I'm not a psychopath, and I definitely do not enjoy this place. This is the place I try to avoid at all costs in every playthrough. Like literally when I entered Deepness after the Mantis Lords, I was like, aight, I'ma head out. So yeah, Deepness sucks, I'm incredibly based, end of discussion. Number 16, the Hive. If I would rank these areas in a tier list that goes from S to F, I would not even put this area in B tier for the memes, because I despise it way too much for that. The Hive is an interesting area, because unlike all the other areas, it is a very isolated one with only one entrance. You can only get in if you take the tram from the ancient basin to Kingdom's Edge, and for that, you need to have visited Deepness for the tram pass. And I would literally rather eat shit. The Hive feels more like a big sub-area, like Mantis Village or Soul Sanctum, but no, it is its very own area. But I always found it weird why you couldn't fight Cornifer here then. I mean, I don't blame him, because it sucks here. But yeah, you get this map with Kingdom's Edge's map. It's very weird. The basic layout of this area is just a linear path that takes you to the boss of this area, with a few shortcuts you can open here and there. Just like the Howling Cliffs, I go through this area once, get all the stuff, and then leave forever. But there are definitely some difficult challenges to be overcome here, and a few secrets to find. Like, have you seen all these big chunky boys? They have no mercy, and I kinda love that. And they even put in a little secret where you need to use the big boys to break open the wall. Every enemy is actually really unique here, even though they are all just bees. And this guy. But that's also the reason why this area is so low on the list. They made sure I would absolutely despise bees after visiting the Hive. From the giant amount of bees and their crazy attacks to the goddamn intimidating background music that basically sounds like bees zooming in my ear. Like, I love the idea so much of the Hive, and I love how everything looks and all, but they also really made sure that I despise this place just as much. Overall, there's not really a whole lot to find here, just annoying bees with a few secrets and a straight path to the boss. Which is a great boss though, but for that you need to watch my boss ranking. So yeah, this area is not as beautiful as it seems. I need to be careful with these jokes. Okay, I'll shut up now. Number 15. Infected Crossroads. Why? 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 Why did they have to ruin the Forgotten Crossroads so badly? Okay, so lore-wise, this decision makes sense. You know, the infection is starting to leak out of the Black Egg Temple, and so does the area where the Black Egg Temple is located in becomes infected as well, including its enemies. And you know, that's really creative. It shows that the world is alive and that your actions have consequences. However, that doesn't make up for the fact that they made this area absolutely awful to traverse. And the worst part is that this is one of the most important areas that you're going to have to visit a lot of times to get from A to B, or to get to Salubra or the Grubfather, or to get any secret you might have missed. And you want to know why it is so awful? It is because of this one simple thing they did, and that is to block off these two room transitions that force you to now go all the way around to get to your destination. And the best part is that you now get to enjoy all the beautiful exploding enemies that will hunt you down until they die. Why? Just why? I think it's a clever move that they turned this area into an infected area, but they didn't have to ruin my life with it. And don't even get me started with what this place can do to you when you are doing the flower quest. And also the fact that this place is not at the bottom says a lot about the previous areas. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Chunk Lord! Anyways, I have not much else to say because we still have the actual Forgotten Crossroads on the list, where I will go more in depth about the area. Number 14. Royal Waterways. Another area that is famous for its peculiar atmosphere. The difference this time being is that this area is way more tolerable to explore, unless you dislike ASMR of course. Royal Waterways is basically a fancy way of saying sewers full of crap. Like, I'm literally not lying. The waterways are very dark and might be very confusing to navigate, but with its organized structure it is pretty easy to eventually find your way through. My first run through of this area was actually very memorable because I only had a dash and a wall jump, and the layout on the west area of the waterways was made in just a way so that if you would fall down from the higher platforms you would be stuck in the water and had to make your way all the way back. But I was definitely not stuck here for a long time, because the waterways are not that big, you know, and the exits are pretty easy to find. And even though this is literally the most disgusting place ever, like, I want to take a shower after all of this type of disgusting, I can really appreciate what they did with this area to spice it up. The crow's fluke nest full of unhatched eggs and moving maggots, the mesmerizing overgrown grove from Isma, the junk pit, an open area with an amazing background, and a literal place with poop. That's pretty amazing actually. And of course plenty of little secrets to find. The enemies, although very disgusting, are actually really unique. Besides our slurpy boys here, we have the pill flips that act differently depending on which side they're flipped on. We have the hovrumps, how do you even say that? And the fluke manga. Dude, I love the fluke manga. And to top it all off, the Waterways is home to one of the most charming boss fights in the game and gives you a very satisfying feeling when leaving the area to the right after dealing with a lot of disgusting things. Of course, the place is still disgusting and dark, so it doesn't get a higher spot than this, but for what it is, it's really creative and I appreciate it. But the rest of the areas are definitely better. Number 13. White Palace. The beautiful palace of the Pill King in all its glory. And beautiful it is, because seeing White Palace for the first time is truly a breath of fresh air. Going from all the dark, creepy and gloomy places to the bright and vibrant and structured looking palace is definitely this area's saving grace on this list. You see, if White Palace wasn't as beautiful as it is, this area would have probably spiraled to the bottom. As much as I love the looks of this place, the things that are inside it still haunt me to this day. It's so traumatic, I think I can trigger every Hollow Knight player's PTSD by just playing one sound. Trionigophobia. Sometimes I'm actually so surprised that there are names for every fear, like, what? Making your way through White Palace is a tough challenge, and I can appreciate the challenge a lot. But that's literally this whole area in a nutshell. Saw blade after saw blade, wondering when it will end, and also wondering why the Pill King Loki decorated his palace with millions of saws. And you do all of this for the amazing reward of have a charm. Yeah! Also, you can sit on the king's throne if you want. I mean, how could you miss that? You would have to be really dumb. I do like to chill here from time to time in the White Palace hub to mentally prepare myself for the upcoming pain. Because the vibe here is just mwah, chef's kiss. Especially with the majestic music playing. However, that's not enough for me to look forward to visiting this place. As beautiful as it may be, it's what's on the inside that counts. And the inside is trying to kill me. For what it is, it's cool. But most other areas are definitely way more fun to be in. And the White Palace is more supposed to be like a one-time visiting for the charm fragment anyway. So yeah, not much more to this place. So this placement seems like a perfect spot to me for this area. Also, fuck Path of Pain. Number 12. Ancient Basin. I'm so sorry to all the edgelords out there, because I know this might upset quite some people. But I'm not the biggest fan of the dark and spooky aesthetic. Then why did you ever start to play Hollow Knight? We'll get to that. The Ancient Basin for me is the equivalent of this place is quiet. A little too quiet. I feel very intimidated by the atmosphere in this place, and there's literally nobody around here except for these burnt croissants. I swear they look so much like croissants. And there's not really a lot to find here content-wise. Almost no challenges, secrets or characters. However, this area is carried by one thing though. Lore. I don't think I need to explain the Hollow Knight lore to y'all anymore, but basically, there's a lot. The game gives you a lot of clues about the lore with these tablets and its characters. However, if you were an average person like me, you didn't have a goddamn clue what the lore was about. Like, yeah, I was trying to understand it, but I was too lazy to actually put things together in my head and just continue exploring the awesome areas. But the Ancient Basin is where you finally get to see something about the lore. You know? With your eyes. Yes, there are plenty of little visual clues about the lore here and there, but hear me out. Pit of Children! When you set foot on the bottom of the abyss and the title pops up, oof, that hits hard. You finally get to see what kind of mess the Pale King has made, and you get to see the place you escaped from with your very own eyes. Not only that, you can also see the destroyed version of White Palace, which you can later access in this knight's dream to see what it was all supposed to look like, of course. It's like I'm really exploring an ancient basin, wow! But that's all this area really is though. It's a very deserted, dull looking lore driven area that was not really meant for exploring, and hey, that's totally fine. But for me it misses a lot of core elements an area should have, and that's why I can't place it higher than this. And the croissants are burnt anyway, so it doesn't deserve a higher placement. Number 11. Forgotten Crossroads. The very first area you get to explore. And to sum it up in one sentence,
I mean, it's alright, like...
You see, for what this area is supposed to be, it does an amazing job. It's basically a tutorial area that teaches you the basics of the game. So don't expect a lot of complex level design here. Because the only thing you can really do here is jump, slash, and cry if you get owned by a basic ass enemy. That doesn't mean there are plenty of things to find here. The Forgotten Crossroads almost acts like a sort of hub for you, because you need to do some shopping here at Salubra, collect some rewards at Grubfather, do some secret finding for when you return with more movement upgrades, and not to forget, a lot of areas are connected to this place. So you'll definitely be passing by this place a lot. It's always fun to walk around this place with your abilities and absolutely obliterate everyone here. From what I told you, it sounds like a pretty amazing area, right? But you see, I have a bit of beef with this area. The thing is, the Forgotten Crossroads made the beginning of the game feel kind of boring. And for me, this area actually gave a false impression on what the game had to offer. You see, because of the beginning of the game with King's Pass, Dirtmouth and the Forgotten Crossroads, I thought the whole game was going to keep using this grey-blue color palette and keep making every area look like an average cave. And for me, that's just very... Not to forget that the gameplay isn't at its most exciting point yet. And it basically caused me to quit the game quite a lot of times before I actually got through it and saw the wonders beyond. Would I really change something about the Forgotten Crossroads to make it better? No, definitely not. It does its job perfectly fine and the cave aesthetic makes a lot of sense to use. It's the first area after all. However, it's probably not a hot take when I say that most other areas out there are way more exciting to explore and visually way cooler. Forgotten Crossroads is not really an area to write home about. It's alright. You still here? Good. Because now with all those areas out of the way, it is time to get into the sauce. I might have been a bit harsh on the previous areas, but that's because this game has just so many amazing other areas that the competition is tight here. Everything following from this point on is going to be absolutely amazing. I have a lot of appreciation and love for the upcoming stuff and have basically no major gripes for them. So, if you are still with me after my Ancient Basin opinion, let's continue with the banger areas with the one and only number 10, Fog Canyon. Kicking off the top 10 we have Fog Canyon, or Pog Canyon for the chats. I might be very biased here, but hear me out. Fog Canyon is one of the prettiest places in the game. The combination of this overgrown look with the purple mist and bubbles, and you know I'm a sucker for anything purple related. This area is so pleasant to stroll around in, because it's very calm and relaxing and nothing can really hurt you. And before you all go crazy in the comments and blame this innocent little Uma over here for exploding your ass off, it's not its fault because you literally slapped him first. What did you expect? Now, this area is definitely not known for its crazy amounts of content, because it arguably has almost nothing. However, this area gives an amazing sense of mystery that I love. When we all first discovered this area, I think I can safely say we were all a little confused by what to really do here at first. We just passed through it while occasionally getting owned by the Uma because we couldn't help our intrusive thoughts. And then we just go on about our day and continue our journey in Fungal Waste, and sort of forgetting Fog Canyon in the process. I mean, you can't even buy a map in the beginning, causing this big gap in your overall map, even though you tried everything in your power to get through this void wall because you heard the evil taunting of Cornifer. However, later in the game, you realize one of the dreamers is located in Fog Canyon, meaning it is required for you to find a way to the other side of this area. And when your two brain cells finally work together to find one of the other entrances, it feels like you are some sort of Sherlock Holmes or something. It was a really satisfying moment for me, and I just really like the aspect of mystery this area has. Also, the Teacher's Archives is one of the most fire sub areas. Just thought I'd let you know. This area has not a lot more to it, but I like it for what it is. Number 9. Resting Grounds. Why is it even called the Resting Grounds, you may ask? Because everyone died here. And you can even witness 3 of them. Also, stop being in denial, everyone. Coral is dead. He does not know how to swim, okay? This area is another place you need to occasionally visit from time to time to claim rewards. Or to retry the flower quest for the millionth time. And although small, the resting grounds actually has a lot to it. There are all sorts of little sections to explore, like the Blue Lake, or the Scary Catacombs, or the Spirit Glade, where you should definitely dreamnail the little Cookie Scout girl, because there will definitely not be any consequences. The overall vibe of this area is just really relaxing, and it feels sort of like an underground version of Dirtmouth. If the NPCs are still alive here, of course. Also, I don't know who was cooking in the studio, but the music playing in the resting grounds is just so fire. It's sad, it's relaxing, and most importantly, it's not the Hive background music. Actually, I do know who was cooking. It was Christopher Larkin, and he is literally the Beethoven of the 21st century. All in all, this area has a nice aesthetic and a decent amount of things to do. So, number 9 it is. Also, shout out to Mavs, the person who made my skin, because this is her favorite area, proven by her amazing piano rendition of the Resting Grounds theme. It's cool. Go watch it. Okay, thank you. Number 8. Dirtmouth. Lovely, lovely Dirtmouth. I don't know if people are surprised by this placement, and I also don't know if it's because it's too high or too low. Either way, I love Dirtmouth. It is probably the area that has the least to offer content-wise, I guess, since this is not an area meant for exploring or anything like that. Rather a place to rest, stock up on goodies and upgrades, before you make your way into Hollow Nest. Yes, I know, this game is all about going on adventures and exploring, but sometimes I just want to chill and take a look at all the progress I made in a nice, cozy, and safe place with my fellow homies. And Dirtmouth is the only place where you can really do that, and I love it. The aesthetic here is really nice, and I love all the cute and fun interactions that can happen here the more NPCs you save. Something you can't really experience anywhere else, because, you know, the entirety of Hollow Nest is basically dead. It's a really nice change of pace from the normal gameplay of Hollow Knight, and I would have loved to have more places like Dirtmouth in the game. This is why I am so excited for Silksong, because they are going to add way more towns rather than just one, spread all over Farloom. And that's literally the one thing I wanted more of in Hollow Knight. Because Dirtmouth is the only town of its kind in Hollow Knight, I gave it some big fat bonus points, and thus it landed here on number 8. You can also be enlightened with the 57 precepts of Zod here, so I had no choice but to place it high. Number 7. Kingdom's Edge. This might be the most genius designed area aesthetic wise. When I first entered this area, my first immediate thought was, wow, this is a snow themed area. Later I came to realize that doesn't make any sense at all, since we're underground, you know? And even later I came to realize that this stuff is not snow. Don't be dirty-minded. The falling snowflakes are actually the ashes of the cast-off shell floating through the air, making it seem like a cozy, wintry place. And if you didn't know, I love snow-themed areas. The reason I find this area so well designed is because they somehow found a creative way to make a sort of snow teams looking area in a game that takes place underground that also makes sense. I mean, this is actually more normal than you think. You are literally breathing in dead skin cells as well right now. Not only aesthetically wise is this area genius, but also layout wise. The first big room you enter in this area is a gigantic vertical room full of platforms, where you will occasionally see a dead bug falling from the sky. That is because it is right under the Colosseum of Fools all the way at the top of Kingdom's Edge, where the fallen warriors are disposed of through a hole in the floor and will fall all the way down. It is a great way to tease the Colosseum, and the Colosseum itself of course is hype as fuck. There are actually quite a handful of secrets to be found everywhere, and for some reason you even have this part all the way at the right of the area where you need to desolate dive your way all the way to the bottom of the earth for a 420 joke. I don't like this part though. Now, because I really like this area with its very high highs, I don't want to be too negative about it with some of its lower points, but these are things that need to be addressed. So instead of talking about these things, I'm just going to show you my PowerPoint presentation about the things that I don't like about this area. You ready? And play. Thank you for watching my presentation. Are there any questions left? No? Well, good, because it was pretty self-explanatory. Number 6. Queen's Gardens. And here we have it, y'all. The most beautiful area in the game. Queen's Gardens. Probably my favorite types of worlds and areas in games are the overgrown and jungle ones. And this area pleases my eyeballs perfectly. It is just so beautiful. The big flowers, the beautiful structures, the overgrown look of it all. They even went all out with this area's aesthetic with these giant statues in the background. And of course, the best bench I've ever seen in my entire life. Just insert the meme.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Although the layout of this area is pretty much linear, forcing you to take one specific route, it still has plenty of secrets for you to find and challenges for you to tackle. And honestly, this area feels like a little gauntlet to test your skills, because there are quite some tough arena fights and platforming challenges here. And at the end of your gauntlet waits a pretty strong and epic boss that you can fight with Cloth, that guards one of the most important items in the game. Sadly, after you finish your little journey through here, there's not a whole lot of reasons to come back here. Except of course for the flower quest, where you always fail at the very last room. It's the most evil room ever. I just wish there was a little more to do here to make it number 1 on the list, because I just love this place so much. But I gotta stay true to objectivity. It clearly lacks some points in the content department, giving this area, even though it pains my heart, a place at number 6. But that also says a lot about how good the top 5 is going to be. Welp, we made it, everyone. There's 5 areas left to rank, and these are some of my all-time favorites. From the content, to the aesthetic, to the enemies, NPCs, music and bosses, all of these areas are so amazing, and I would be lying to you if I say creating this top 5 was easy. I have so many great memories with all of them, and picking a favorite was so impossible. Just like how it is impossible for you to click the subscribe button below this video. Yeah, I know you can do it. Just click it. Please, I'm giving you free quality content in return. Without further ado, let's get into the top 5 and crown the all-time best Hollow Knight area. Starting with Number 5. Crystal Peaks. Grab your diamond pickaxe, boys, because we are going mining. Honestly, the Crystal Peaks is probably the best designed area out of them all. It has a super clever layout combined with its mining shaft theme, making it one of the most fun and interesting ones to explore. And even though it has one main theming, that being a mining shaft area, they made sure to make it feel like a full-on factory here. You got the mining section at the bottom with conveyor belts transporting the crystal pieces, workshops full of shelves with ores and products, and the big open caves full of unmined crystals. There was just a lot of thought put behind this when they designed this area. The basic premise of this place is to make your way all the way up and then back all the way down to find the crystal heart, with actual machinery in your way as obstacles. Yes, the Hollownest society wasn't completely dumb and useless because they actually made some machinery for this place, making this area even more unique. And they actually made some really great and challenging sections to overcome with this. There are even some sick platforming sections made for your new crystal heart upgrade. Not to forget that this area is filled to the brim with stuff to find, like goddamn, there might be more grubs in here than I have brain cells. There are 7 grubs in this place, by the way. And the enemies in this place are really unique and creative as well, and I like that they all have something to do with crystals. It could be that it's somewhere on their body or used as an undodgeable projectile. They all stick to the crystal theming, with all of them having unique attacks to dodge. The creativity just really peaked here in my opinion, pun unintentional. And I love every single bit of it. Now of course, there are quite some tedious parts in this area that definitely did not make me rage or anything. So I don't think it's perfect, but it came really close. Number 4. God Home. This place has grown so much on me, probably because I didn't really have a choice but to spend dozens of hours in this place. The way you enter this place is by dream nailing the Godseeker found in the junk pit, which I think is really funny because you find the Godseeker in basically the most disgusting place ever, and when you enter God Home, you basically go to the most holy place in the game. Because oh my god, does this place look cool. It basically feels like a giant coliseum above the clouds with all these ancient bugs sort of looking down on you and having no faith in your god slaying skills. And I mean, sometimes they were right though. God Home acts like a hub for all your boss fighting needs. You can tackle them individually in the Hall of Gods and even do harder versions of each boss with the Ascended and Radiant option, or go for the Pantheons where you need to fight bosses back to back, ending with a brand new boss you've never fought. And there are even just randomly 2 extra bosses made for this place, one being absolute trash and the other one being one of the best. You can even put on some bindings, so basically just debuffs, for extra lifeblood in harder pantheons that you struggle with as a reward. If you want to fully complete this game, then you have no choice but to spend a lot of time here, but it's also a lot of fun. And even though this area is really small and not meant for exploring, they still put in little secrets for you to find that will definitely have you spending more time here. I'm really happy that they decided to add this place in the last DLC, because it's always nice to have the ability to fight every boss again. And finally beating the last Pantheon with all the bosses in it is one of the coolest experiences ever in any game. You could say this all doesn't count as new content and that it's lazy, because you are basically fighting old bosses again. However, they made so many new challenges with the old bosses and of course added a bunch of new ones that this is arguably the place with the most content. So I think it really deserves a spot at number 4. Number 3. City of Tears. Right in the middle, connected to 6 other areas. The capital of Hollownest and biggest area of the game. So big even that it has 2 different stag stations at both sides. No wonder so many people choose this as their favorite area, because this place just has so much to offer with so much to do and see. City of Tears is, as its name suggests, a city where it's always raining. Just like Kingdom's Edge, I find it really genius that they found a way to create an outside weather condition in an area that is underground. And this time it's because the city is built under the Blue Lake, where water infiltrates through the ground and ends up at the ceiling of the cave the city is made in, making it quote-unquote rain. Very smart place to build your city there, guys! This place is huge, with a lot of different sections to uncover. First of all, they actually imitated society society by making one half of the city poor and the other half rich, shown by the enemies and architecture, which is a really clever design choice. You also have a gigantic section with spoopy soulbenders that will track you down until the end of dawn. A gigantic tower guarded by a really tough boss that protects a dreamer. A whole town with houses you can enter, with one house having a full-on hot spring and a spirit singing the background vocals of the city's music. A whole storage area, and also a place where some unholy stuff happens. And just so many characters and secrets to find everywhere. This place has it all. There's just so much to do here. But nothing can beat one of my favorite moments of all time in this game that I think many people share with me. The moment you first enter the city and get locked into it, creating panic and anxiety, because you don't know what to do. And then you see the rain dripping down on the giant windows. You can enjoy that peaceful moment while sitting down on the bench next to Quirrell. It just hits different. It's such a cozy feeling that is hard to describe. City of Tears is basically perfect, so why didn't I put it at number 1? Well, first of all, I think these top 3 areas are all perfect in every department, that it really just comes down to my personal preference. Although City of Tears is amazing, of course, I didn't have as much fun exploring it as the other two. It was kind of overwhelming sometimes, and the aesthetic, although really amazing, it's not my favorite. I would not blame anyone for picking this as their favorite area, because it really is perfect. But my heart goes out to these other two very special places that I love very dearly. Number 2. Fungal Wastes. I never had such a fun time exploring an area in this game as Fungal Wastes. It is the first area where the game stops holding your hand and you are on your own. You can enter this place in different ways, and from here you can also decide which area you want to go to next. You can basically do whatever you want as long as you make your way to the Mantis village for the Mantis Claw. And man, it's so fun to traverse this area because of one simple thing. Mushrooms. Yeah, I know the whole place is made of mushrooms, but I'm talking about the purple ones. Mastering the art of swinging your nail on the mushroom and bouncing from one to another is just so fun. It is always a treat to go through this place whenever I reach this area. It is just so enjoyable to go from A to B here, especially when you're speedrunning this stuff and you just zoom through while doing some sick jumps like it's a normal Monday afternoon. The enemies are really fun here as well and have so much charm to them, even though they are all just mushrooms. Unless you've reached the Mantis village, of course. I can make a whole video about the Mantis village on itself if I wanted, because this whole place is just so cool. The enemies, the platforming puzzles, the loot, and of course, the boss fight. Also, I don't know why, but the Fungal Waste music is some of my favorite background music. It makes this place feel so mysterious, but also very alive. Just like this video right now. There's just so much to see and find here. You can save Breda, explore the fungal core, get pranked by the floor and fall into your beloved area, fight the best boss in the game, Sans-chan! If it wasn't for my personal attachment to number 1, this would have definitely been my favorite area. Everything about it, from the aesthetic to the content, it's basically perfect. However, if you've been keeping track of the areas, you know exactly what number 1 is. And this area holds a special place in my heart. No other area will ever hit the same as this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you the number 1 best area of Hollow Knight. Number 1. Green Path. Where do I even begin? This is the area that made me truly fall in love with the game and made me excited to keep going instead of quitting out after every half an hour. Upon entering this area, I finally got to see that this game was much more than a depressing looking cave simulator. You see all the greenery around you, full of life, and some Disneyland-esque music starts playing while the title pops up, making entering this area feel truly magical. Just like Queen's Gardens, this area is by far my favorite aesthetic-wise, and I was just so mesmerized by how everything looked around me and I wanted to explore every inch of it. Green Path is also home to the very first boss I struggled with for a bit, that being Massive Moss Hornet, of course. After defeating Hornet in about 4 tries or so, I felt so accomplished and cool, which I've never really experienced that much in video games, since I've only basically played Nintendo games at that point. It made me feel like I could do anything and gave me such a confidence boost and made me like the game even more. I'm happy to say that there's quite a lot to find here and plenty of reasons to return here as well. Visiting Shio's hut after a crazy crystal dash section, jumping in the lake to find Un, but then you realize he was just off screen and you missed everything. The spooky stone sanctuary with the scariest boss alive. I have so many great memories in this place, and all these little areas within Green Path are just so amazing. Just like all the enemies here. They all fit nicely into the overgrown team and are all super cute and fun to fight. And there's even a Terraria reference. This has to be a Terraria reference. I just have no complaints with this area whatsoever. It's so perfect to me, and it showed me that the game is amazing. You know, there could be so many arguments made on why this area isn't perfect and should not be number 1, and I can agree. There's probably not a lot of people that would consider this their number 1 favorite area out of all of them. However, that is the beauty of making rankings. I know in my boss ranking I said it was based on science, but secretly it was all subjective. Surprise, surprise. Everyone experiences things differently and may have other preferences than you or me. Maybe someone really likes the quiet and empty atmosphere of the Howling Cliffs, or the absolute pain and fear that Deep Nest brings. And for me, Green Path left such a great impression on me, even though it's probably not the best of the best, that I can't help it but put it at number 1. Maybe it would have been different if the Forgotten Crossroads were way more appealing to me, but as of right now, it was because of this area that I started playing and enjoying Hollow Knight in its entirety, and that eventually made me start a brand new YouTube channel to make Hollow Knight videos on. That all led to this moment of me making this video with 15k plus subscribers, all gained in this 1 year. Green Path not only showed me the game was amazing, it also gave me the opportunity to do the thing I love the most for a living maybe. And that is making amazing videos for you all. So my favorite Hollow Knight area, my number 1, is Green Path. Thank you all for watching my biggest video so far. It would mean a lot to me if you showed me your support by liking the video, commenting and subscribing of course. It's been a great year, and I never thought I would ever be in this position in my entire life. It's something I could have only dreamed of. So really, thank you. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see what next year has to bring for this channel, and hopefully we're only gonna grow from here. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.